On Sunday, November 5th of this year, I will be at DebateCon 4. I actually have 2 debates scheduled, one with Destiny, one with somebody called CSP Cypher. Links to get your tickets are in the description of this video. Come out, see me, meet me, have a great time. Another day, another Black Lives Matter lie, another George Floyd 2.0 falls by the wayside. You guys have heard this story before. An innocent angel black person was murdered just out of nowhere, just for being pulled over during a traffic stop because that innocent angel black person encountered a white cop. White police officers are evil, white, and racist, therefore they're just looking for a reason, and this is what we were told happened to Leonard Cure. Now, it's additionally sad because we're also told that Leonard Cure served 16 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. An armed robbery that he was totally innocent of, and he definitely was not freed under very suspicious circumstances by, in part, the efforts of the Innocence Project in Florida, which is totally a legitimate organization and not an organization that we've covered multiple times lying on this channel before. It's trust us, he's totally innocent. Maybe I'll do a deep dive into that particular case later to prove that he wasn't innocent in that armed robbery, but now he was killed as an innocent angel, and of course, right on the scene, right away, before the body even gets cold, was Benjamin Crump doing an hour-long press conference, calling out this as an evil white racist crime, and demanding the release of the body cam footage.
Justice for Leonard.
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 And so we are here demanding
Justice.
justice.
Justice for Leonard.
Justice.
And we know to get to that justice, it's going to be built on truth and transparency. So we want the video to be released immediately.
Well, here's the thing, Attorney Benny Crump, the footage was released. It was put out there in the public. We are able to see it. And everything you said in your press conference, every point that you made is an absolute lie. So I expect you to start distancing yourself from this case, as you've done with many others, because it turns out that Leonard Cure was not killed by an evil white racist cop. It turns out Leonard Cure was in fact killed because he was assaulting a cop conducting a legitimate traffic stop because he thought he was above the law, which based on his criminal history, not just the supposed exonerated crime, but the other convictions that stand in his criminal history, we should not be surprised. But before we get into that, I want to say thank you to everybody who signed up over on actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
And thank you to the podcast listeners, Spotify, Apple, and Google's podcasting platform.
Transparency, truth, justice. If anybody deserves truth and justice, if anybody deserves truth and justice, after what he went through, being wrongfully convicted and spending over 16 years on a iron box, it is Leonard Cure. It is Leonard Cure.
Now look, I'm going to give Benjamin Crump a little bit of grace that he does not deserve because he is in fact a race hustler. However, the things that he said in the press conference actually were before the video was released. And to be clear, because of Benjamin Crump putting pressure on the Camden County Sheriff's Office, that particular police department, that's probably one of the reasons why we had that footage be released early. So, in a way, you can excuse his hyperbole and all of that if you don't understand who Benjamin Crump is, if you don't understand what he does with these cases all the time, if you don't understand that he's backed a bunch of hoaxes specifically in order to push his own racial agenda, you can at least give him the benefit of the doubt that he wasn't lying, he just didn't have all the information, and his lies, his falsehoods related to the story actually ended up precipitating the release of the video that we're going to go over. However, and this is incredibly important, even after the video was released, organizations that are trash organizations like the Southern Poverty Law Center released statements condemning the officer anyway. Now, I'm going to show you the video of this case. I'm going to have to redact here and there because of YouTube's terms of service, but the full video will be linked in the description of this video. But before you see it, I want you to see what the Southern Poverty Law Center said after it was available, because it just goes to show you that they're untrustworthy. Now, the headline of this is ridiculous and absurd. It says, leaders at every level must act now to end the culture of anti-blackness in policing. It says, in Atlanta, Leonard Cure, a 53-year-old man, was shot and killed by a police officer in Camden County, Georgia, on Monday. Now, they go on to talk about his exoneration, which maybe we'll get into in the future, but they finishes up with quotes like this. Quote, "No one should be shot to death during a traffic stop." Huang continued, "The brutal and unjust violence black people have endured," notice that black is capitalized in the middle of the sentence, "at the hands of police must end. Enough is enough," close quote. And then from the SPLC themselves, the SPLC once again calls for a reimagining of policing in this country that respects the rights of all people. Leaders at every level must take urgent action to end the culture of anti-blackness in policing, keep all communities safe, and demand accountability until equal justice is a reality for all. Now, the reason I'm emphasizing this particular statement is because the SPLC is not some random organization. The federal government actually uses people from them, their research, in order to determine who are extremists, and notably, they often tie extremism to right-wing political figures who are in no such way extremists. And you can see how their political bias is, how it impacts what they do, in that after the video that clearly and obviously shows Leonard Cure in the wrong, they released a statement like that. But without further ado, let's get into the video so you can see it for yourself, but keep what the SPLC said in mind as we go through this video. Now, the video is a dash cam video. It is silent in the open, but as you can see, we have an officer driving on the highway when all of a sudden, in a little bit of time, you will see a gray or white pickup truck zoom by traffic in the left lane, reportedly, according to the officer, going 100 to 105 miles per hour. Now, I can't estimate speed just by looking at this video, but you can see by how fast this guy is going in comparison to the other cars that he's clearly and likely speeding, presuming that these other cars are at and around the speed limit, especially with an officer in the right lane. Now again, the officer is behind that pickup truck who is blowing past all of these cars. You see people getting out of the left lane so that he can pass, and now the signal light is on because this guy is being pulled over. So now he's slowing down dramatically, and we're going to get to the beginning of the encounter. Now, this is incredibly crucial for you guys to understand. In the state of Georgia, where this occurred, a traffic violation is technically criminal, although usually for minor speeding violations, they will write you a ticket for this. And by the way, this shouldn't be unusual in any state in the union. If you're going a significant speed over the limit without any justification, you are very likely to be subject to arrest, not only a citation for doing so. But in Georgia, they've made this crystal clear. It is down to the judgment of the officer. And again, it's understandable if you see a guy going 105, 100 miles an hour, as the officer is going to say into the dispatch, for him to want to pull this person over and want to pursue this in a serious way, because this is very dangerous driving.
Step out! Step out! Get out! Get out! Put your hands back here. I ain't doing shit. Put your damn hands back here.
Now, as you can hear for yourself, when the officer finally gets Cure to pull over, he steps out of his vehicle, orders Cure out of his vehicle, and then Cure gets out reluctantly. He tells him to put his hands on the back of the vehicle, but then Cure responds by saying, "I'm not doing S-word."
Here, I ain't doing shit.
So already, at the beginning of this, we have Leonard Cure committing a crime. He's speeding, he's going 100 to 105 in this particular area. He's being pulled over for that crime. Again, these are criminal violations in the state of Georgia, but in almost any state in the union, if you're going that much over the speed limit, you can likely be arrested. It's usually a judgment call. and he's coming out with energy like he's going to resist arrest. Now, what we were told by Attorney Crump, what we were told by the family, who were not there, who did not see the body cam footage, is that Leonard Cure would never resist arrest. But that's the energy he's coming out with right away.
Who are you? Staff Sergeant of the Sheriff's Office.
My name is Wade.
I don't care. Step to the rear of this vehicle.
In the name of who?
In the name of the law of the state of Georgia. Step back here now or you're getting tased.
I'm going. Watch me now.
Put your hands on the back of that truck.
Do you see that?
Put your hands on the back of that truck.
The back of the truck.
Both hands. Turn around. 34, can you send me another unit? One non-compliant.
Now again, eventually Cure does comply with the command to put his hands on the back of the truck. However, I will note that his behavior is pretty erratic, and you can see there is cause for an alarm for the police officer. Now, I will say, for an officer of the law, because this happens to be a fact, the most dangerous thing statistically about this situation isn't actually Leonard Cure himself. It's actually standing in that lane of the highway while you're pulling somebody else over, because this is something that often proves fatal for officers, and I wish they had some kind of better system than doing this on the side of the road, like getting this whole situation to the other side of the vehicle so that they could be more safe. However, this is not a statistically what's the most likely kind of situation, because Leonard Cure is about to resist arrest on video, and again, the full video is in the description of this video so you can watch it for yourself without any redaction.
Your name is Officer who?
Staff Sergeant Aldridge with the Camden County Sheriff's Office.
Who county?
Camden County.
So one of the things that people like to do as they're resisting arrest is ask for the name of the officer. And by the way, I am very big on officers giving their name to people in the public that they engage with, because it basically neutralizes this line of faux resistance where you're like, oh, I don't know who you are, so I can't possibly comply with your orders, and credit where credit is due, this officer does that.
Staff Sergeant Aldridge with the Camden County Sheriff's Office.
Who county?
Camden County.
He says his name, he says his rank, and he says that he works from the Camden County Sheriff's Office. So all of that is given to this individual, but guess what? It's not going to change whether or not he complies.
Put your hand behind your back.
Do I have a warrant? Wait. No. Excuse me.
Either put your hands behind your back or you're getting tased. I'm telling you that right now.
Why am I getting tased?
Because you are under arrest for speeding and reckless driving.
I'm not driving. Nobody was hurt. How was I speeding?
You passed me doing 100 miles an hour.
Okay, so that's a speeding ticket, right?
Sir, tickets in the state of Georgia are criminal offenses.
I don't have a ticket in Georgia.
You do now.
Why?
You passed me doing 100 miles an hour.
Now I'm going to double down on giving credit to this officer, because even in this situation that is clearly and obviously escalating, he's answering every one of Cure's questions. He's telling him why he's being arrested. He answered the question of whether or not he had a warrant. He's explaining to him that the traffic citations in Georgia for speeding are actually criminal and what he's charging him with. He's expressing that even in this tense situation when he's pretty sure he's about to have to tase this guy, because he's actually well trained for this situation, at least until the point where they get into the physical confrontation.
And what? Am I going
Hands
to jail?
behind your back. Yes, you are going to jail. Hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back.
Now, obviously, I have to freeze frame right here, and the reason I have to do that is because YouTube will punish my channel for showing stuff that other people are perfectly fine to do, even though I'm not glorifying or cheering on the violence or anything of the sort. But you can hear the taser being deployed, and then, as you can see through some of the still frames, the resistance continues, and they end up in a tussle where both of them are trying to grab and get superior position on the other one. Unfortunately for Leonard Cure, because this maneuver ended up ultimately costing him his life, he actually does get the superior position on this officer, ends up choking him, and he starts gloating about the fact that he has control over the situation. And again, I just want you to hear the voice because I have to still frame it because of YouTube's terms of service.
Yeah, bitch. Yeah, bitch.
So he has him in a bit of a choke, but he's also forcing his neck back in a very awkward position. And again, because I had to still frame this because of YouTube's terms of service, you didn't see that the officer's next maneuver, after he already went with the less lethal weapon of the taser, was to pull out the knife stick in order to try to fight him off. However, when that proved to not be able to work, he ended up drawing his gun and he fired one shot, just one, into Leonard Cure, and that is the shot that ultimately ended up leading to his death.
Stay down! Stay down! Stay down! Camden, shots fired! Shots fired, Camden!
Now, as you can see, after he fires that one shot, he immediately goes to his radio. He gets to a better position in order to hold this guy at gunpoint. Also, a Brinks truck starts backing up. I thought it was an ambulance at first, but that was rather odd. I don't know if somebody from the Brinks truck was coming to try to help him or whatever, but he ends up calling for help, but the ambulance didn't arrive in time. And I think creepily or eerily, you can actually hear Leonard Cure say too late, repeatedly.
Camden, shots fired! Shots fired, Camden!
So even he might realize at this point in time that he is done. Now look, I don't know what you expect from this sergeant in this particular situation. Maybe you want him to have better karate skills in order to deal with this. Maybe he needs to spend more hours at Tiger Showman's. But the fact of the matter is, somebody who served a hard time in prison, who was in good shape, got the physical upper hand on him. He was resisting arrest from the jump. The officer was trying to tell him all of the information in order to get him to comply. He also kind of seemed a little weirded out. Maybe it's a potential drug situation, maybe potentially a mental health situation. I don't really know, but he progressed through a force continuum in order to engage with this person, and it was only when this guy had the superior position, the knife stick and the taser didn't work, and he was gloating about how he had power over the officer, that he deployed the firearm, and he fired one shot. I know a lot of people on the left love to count the number of shots because that just shows the number of racisms being fired at innocent black angels. And that shot ultimately ended up leading to his death. However, he did immediately report the shots fired and call for the ambulance. This is pretty solid, exonerating footage for the officer, which really goes to show you how bad an organization like the SPLC is, because they saw this and they said after that this was anti-blackness. And remember, Ben Crump from his press conference said that this would have never happened to a white person.
As I talked to his brother, Michael, we were just talking and said, we absolutely do not believe if he was a white citizen, he would have been killed for a traffic stop.
We don't believe, we know. We know he would not have been killed if he were white.
And I'm sorry, but that's just not true. If you get pulled over, you resist arrest, you tank a taser, you end up getting a chokehold on an officer, you are unnaturally bending him by his head back like we saw in the still image. He tries to pull out the knife stick. That also doesn't work. The chances of you getting shot if the officer can grab his gun of any race are damn near 100%. And if you have a comparable case, if you have a guy getting to this position and the officer is capable of getting to his gun and he doesn't shoot because he says, wow, white privilege, I got your back, buddy, you're my best friend all the way to the end, then show me that video or shut the hell up. This is yet another case, another fraud from Black Lives Matter, and thank God it was averted by the quick and timely release of the body cam footage, because this could have easily been painted in such a way that could have caused great damage to the American population, much in a similar way that George Floyd was. They have the angle of, oh, he was exonerated. He was an innocent angel. He would have never in the history of ever been driving 100 miles an hour on the road and resisting arrest, not after what he had been through. And now that we have the footage, now that the officer is exonerated, all they have is the officer's tone being a little bit mean and maybe, just maybe, people who have been exonerated are so gosh darn scared of law enforcement that that's why he acted irrationally. But even that kind of changing in the framing acknowledges that Leonard Cure was the author of his own peril, that Leonard Cure signed his own death warrant, that Leonard Cure was in the wrong. I'm so tired of these damn hoaxes. I'm so tired of every single one of these cases being the same exact thing, and they keep trying to use it to undermine our society. They keep trying to use it in order to target law enforcement. They keep trying to use it in order to release more criminals. Chances are this guy was released in 2020 as a part of a law or statute or some kind of re-examination of his case that was related to George Floyd. And look at what he did with his life. Look at what he did with his freedom. He probably committed that robbery at that Walgreens way back when. He got a second chance, and this is how he used it. He used it to attack an officer for the simple pleasure of having a power position over him. You know he got some kind of payout after 16 years of supposed wrongful lockup, and this is what he did with his time and his money. This is who Leonard Cure was, and this is the fate that he sealed for himself. But hey, those are just my thoughts. They happen to be 100% right. There is no dispute in this case. But if you disagree, you can tell me your wrong opinion down in the comments below. If you like the video, show them by leaving a like. Subscribe for more content. Follow me on my social medias. Support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been yet another BLM hoax getting shredded. Till next time.